So unicorn, are we
Pink mythical creature
with a curly horn?
with a curly horn.
How many children do you want, by the way?
Okay. Oh my God! You did not ask him that. There you go. You've got 3. Would you like an army? Marcy, seriously. I mean, they needed to do that for a long time. I think it's been a hard battle because they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. You don't need to do this now. I'm just telling. Sorry.
Save it for the podcast.
Sorry. Give me another champagne and I'll be on track again. 7.5 billion.
Hello and welcome to Digital's in a Cruel World, the go-to place for all cloud accounting news in the UK. So, it's an exciting day for us. We are at the Digital Accountancy Show at the AREX Launch event. The first time actually that all 3 of us have been in the same place when we're recording this show. So, firstly I'm just going to ask John, how are you finding it? Has it been fun so far?
Yeah, it's been really fun so far. I really enjoyed meeting lots of people that I know, but I've only spoken to over Zoom or Teams for the last 18 months, and lots of people I haven't seen in the flesh ever, so that's great. Some exciting new apps here as well, which is always great. It's good to see the ecosystem growing and developing. How have you found it, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I love these events. This is literally what I work for. And yeah, like you say, loads of new tech, loads of new insights, and hopefully something we can delve into during the show. Indy, how you found it? This is a big thing for you, AREX launch event.
Massive. I've had such a crazy day, but I have never spoken to so many people in such a short amount of time. I can honestly say that every accountant I've met has been so excited to meet people and to actually be back in what is the game of it. Because I think it is just a learning opportunity, and the show itself has got so many stages that you can learn from, which I thought would be quite intimidating, quite difficult for accountants to get by and get around, but actually it's just been the right amount, and I think the venue is perfect for it as well. Yeah. And I can honestly say that I've had such a great time, obviously, with you two.
You're too kind.
But yeah, no, I've had a good time meeting other people. I'm playing a game of Guess the Height, which was...
Yes, that's a good point, actually. There's been lots of people I've met today where I've only ever seen them on Zoom. Yeah, and I walk up to them and I'm staring up at them like that. It's an odd concept. But
you haven't met loads of people where you were staring.
I'm sure. But yeah, so obviously our main topic today is all about Digital Accountancy Show. We are hoping, if we're lucky, to grab Dan Cockerton for a few minutes just to ask him some questions, how the show's gone. But before we get into that, let's jump into app news. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool.
Always.
So on app news this week, first I've got something. As of yesterday, Xero have dropped Xero tax for personal tax. Now, it's been what I'd call a soft launch. I don't know what you think of this, but generally the product that's been launched seems like it's in a beta testing phase. Lots in there, but the integration into HMRC seems quite minimal at the moment. It's more of a push, less of a pull, so you're not dragging down information on salary, etc. And I guess some of the functionality on workflows, etc., seems a bit minimal from what I take for it. Compared to some of the other products that have been invested in for a bit longer, like Sage, for example, got there pretty early with their MTD for income tax piece. I feel that Xero are using their marketplace, that their accountants to kind of learn on this. Have you got an opinion on that, John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit like you, Ryan. I think it's a bit of a reaction to, obviously, we've got MTD for income tax coming down the track. Not a huge amount of time now to get everything set up and running. Seems unlikely that it's going to be delayed. So all of the major providers are going to have something that will work for that. I think very much in the same way that when Xero Tax originally launched, it was really launched very softly with a lot of beta testing and a lot of ironing out quite a lot of the creaks and the creases that were there. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, we know from historical development that Xero compile in a lot of functionality quickly. That doesn't always please everyone, but we'll just have to see how it goes. And I think it's essential that Xero and other apps keep up the pace with this development.
Yeah, I think actually it would only be fair really to compare the products. So once out there, we'll probably have to do a show on that and compare them. It's too early probably to comment until I've had a chance to play with this, and I guess John and Indy had a chance to play with this. probably too early to comment in too much detail.
Some of the accountants have said that they really see it as a bold move by Xero to then actually have a stand here and launch the product. Accountants have also said that they welcome it because it was long overdue and it shows that there is space in this market.
I think, to be fair to Xero, they've not been shy on saying this is coming. So they've been talking about zero tax for income tax for, I don't know, years probably. They've been trialling it for quite a while. But I guess from my shock was the fact that it's not a pool. Because they've been talking a good game, they've been doing a lot of work, and admittedly there seems to be an awful lot of functionality in there, especially compared to when zero tax for corporation tax launched. Yeah. But I feel I just want that a little bit more, and it hasn't quite got that yet. But yeah, caveating that, I need to play with it. But you know, we could talk about zero tax all day. So, have you got anything else?
So I've got a bit of an update on the PayPal sort of crypto news that we talked about in a previous episode. So you know, we just got a bit more information out there in terms of what's going on. So really interestingly, the one of the product guys at PayPal had sort of said that in the US when they launched their crypto services, that now PayPal users log into their account twice as often if they've got some sort of crypto in their wallet compared to non-crypto PayPal users. Also, what's really interesting is that the UK launch of this PayPal crypto side of the business is a little bit different from the US. So if you're a US customer, you're able to pay for goods and services using crypto from your PayPal wallet wherever PayPal's accepted. That's not going to be permitted in the UK for the time being.
Oh, wow.
So you're only basically able to buy and sell crypto. And obviously we said it was restricted to 4 of the main crypto currencies that are available. But equally, what's really interesting was that PayPal had launched some information that YouGov had done some research on, saying that just 3% of people in 2019 owned crypto, and that's now up to 8%. So not big numbers in the overall, but definitely growing, definitely of more interest. And as we know from talking to some of the people that are here at the show, crypto is definitely on their agenda, and they're really excited about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, I definitely feel that I need to go out and buy some crypto following this. It feels like it's getting a lot bigger than I'm taking it for granted, I guess. So talking about updates, I know obviously we had some on crypto, and we mentioned zero bank reconciliations before. There has been an update from Xero on this, and this is actually a reaction to the market. So we mentioned on the last show the fact that a lot of people reacted to the fact that the individual transactions were too large. Xero have kind of replied to this and commented and basically said that they've done that for a reason. Well, a few reasons actually. One is actually to open it up to people that might be slightly impaired in their sight, etc. And so it's opening up to a wider network because they're a bigger business now. They kind of have to consider these things. And the other is actually to align with other products, mostly in Australia, to be fair, and we're kind of taking the brunt of that. But what Xero have said is they've taken that on board and they're going to develop one that condenses those transactions down to still give that level of service, what I guess the UK market expects from the old product. So we'll hopefully get the best of both worlds. So that's us. That's an update on the zero bank reconciliation. I believe, Indi, you had something.
I had something because last time we spoke about the raise, and I saw FreshBooks had raised 130 million, which would take it into unicorn status, Series E. So that's, from my perspective, I think that shows that they're really there is so much room, and as I said earlier, there is so much room for growth in this market, and I think that it cements what is their position of seeing the UK as perhaps a core part of that, which I think a lot of apps have.
Yeah, I mean, so FreshBooks, for those of you that aren't aware, because it's generally not that well known in the UK, Canadian-based firm, similar to like Xero, Quibbles Online, etc., big over in Canada. Looks like hopefully this investment will help their growth and expansion overseas. But I just wanted, because this is something that I don't fully understand. What is a unicorn in the context of companies? Can you elaborate on that? Do you know, Indi?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask my 6-year-old daughter, she'd say it's the type of cake that she wanted, and pink, fluffy, with a horn. If you ask anyone that's in tech, we'd say it's a mythical. It's one that's actually going the distance and committed and has found the sweet spot for growth. So the growth multiplier is such that they're very desirable, attractable to investors. And that's probably why there is 130 million. So
Okay, so just because I've got a simple mind, so is this speed of growth and level of investment that kind of gets that unicorn status? Does that sound right?
yeah, it's generally around the speed of growth.
Okay, cool. I think I understand. John, do you have anything else then?
Yeah, so another thing that I really love at the moment out in the tech space is robotic process automation. I think it's a huge area for growth, particularly for accountancy practices and accountancy businesses, to help advise their clients on improving process, getting around those problems where systems don't integrate, or you've got maybe some legacy products that you want to try and remove some of the inefficiencies that you have. Automation Anywhere is a massive tool that lots of people are out there using, and I think Dan talked about UiPath earlier on. That's another one that's out there, and they've just announced a new tool helping to sort of simplify the implementation of robotic process automation. Because I think one of the problems that a lot of people find when they sort of jump into this is, although it's a low-code solution and supposed to be able to make things a little bit easier for people, it can still be a little bit overbearing, and it can be quite challenging just to get those automations set up and running, and also monitor them to make sure that they're working efficiently. So they've just released this whole new education program and a system to make just rolling out RPA a lot easier for people.
Yeah, I mean, so from my perspective, we dabbled in RPA at Scrumland, and it was something that I think it's quite a big barrier to entry to really get involved in this. So anything that makes that process easier to identify, where you could potentially use RPA internally, how you could, I guess, adopt it or roll it out in scale would be a benefit. But I think it's only fair to talk about it, as we are at the AREX launch event, to talk on AREX, especially as Indi is from AREX. So Indi, I'm not going to talk myself. Let you take the stage here. Tell us about AREX.
Other than it has been a great day. We launched in the UK officially today, and we've had so many accountants that have come to us and said, "Hey, what's the pitch?" And we've said, "There is no pitch because you're our partners." So, and actually, that is genuinely what it has been. So I've had some gents say to me today, "What's in it for us?" Well, client relationships, helping them to actually get a more sustainable source of income, and we're really not in it to sell it. So we had a panel talk earlier, which you were amazing at, just to talk and educate the market in terms of what is out there and how it works with the competition. And today has been, which I feel like is warranted, I feel like this should be the end though, a toast.
Cheers.
It has been the champagne launch, so we're quite happy with that, and Dan's done a great job of making sure that we've had so many people here today and engaged with us. So that's it, really. We're just happy.
No, so I can't remember if we've talked about this before, so I apologise to our viewers and listeners if we have, but AREX is basically, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, so AREX is a selective invoice discounting tool, integrates into Xero, but uses the market to drive down prices. So you basically pitching your invoice that you're putting out to the market for investors to bid on it. So you should be getting the best rate. Is that right, Andy?
We are all about driving the cost of financing down because we're not in an individual bank or investor's pocket. So we have sophisticated investors, and they tend to trade on a lot of different strategies. And so the invoice is fulfilled by a range of different bids. The more compelling the invoice and the debtor and a lot of different strategies that they have, the lower the cost of financing, which makes it so much more compelling for SMEs. They get the money the next day, which is in this space is common, that you would have the speed, but no one really pays attention to the other side, which is the cost, because actually so often it's associated with getting the money in quickly and not actually what it costs the SME. So I think we're really excited with how it's gone today and how the accountants have supported it.
Good. And I think that's a big differentiator for AREX, isn't it? We see, lots of players in the market, whether they're established players who, do slow and cheap, or we've got some of the newer, challengers that have come into the space that do quick and expensive, but nobody's managed to do quick and cheap. Or quick and competitive, if you want to call it that, to get into the space. So both of us have worked with AREX to help them, just fine-tune their product for the UK market, and we're really excited about how it's getting in there. And also, it's slightly different because they hold the credit risk as well, so you're passing that away from our clients and their businesses, onto somebody else. So it makes a little bit of a difference in this space from some of the other funders and the businesses that we're maybe more used to using.
Yeah, and the whole point of this is to be independent. And I know we have Indi, and it's only fair that we talk about AREX right now. But I guess the takeaway from this is explore, investigate, and talk to AREX, see if it's something to work for you. For us, we think it's a great product, but you need to look into it. So I think that's app news for today. And yeah, hopefully we can grab Dan.
You need to borrow Alistair Barlow's.
They're raspberry.
Hey, raspberry.
Raspberry, is that right? When you come from up north, you say raspberry, not raspberry.
Yeah. We were supposed to start at 3:30. It is now 4:10.
That's true.
He is so frustrated. I mean, we've got loads of great recording when we're not doing anything.
Great to see that we're joined by Dan Cockerton, and we'll be excited to find out what's been going on with the show, all the background to the many trials and tribulations that he's been experiencing trying to get this off the ground, and hear from the man himself. So, Dan, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's really appreciated. I know you're very busy today. Tell us a little bit about your background and how we got to the Digital Accountancy Show.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, guys, for having me. So I've worked in the accountancy profession for around 12 years now in a couple of different roles. My last employed role, I was working over at Xero. I was one of their territory managers. I was account managing at 300 firms of accountants for them. I saw a real mixture of some firms adopting online technology really, really well, and for a lot of firms it becoming part of their DNA. But for the vast majority of firms, I would say actually really struggled with it a little bit. Struggled with client buy-in, staff buy-in, partner buy-in. So I decided to launch a media business, an event that could help educate accountants on all things digital transformation, change management, and the app ecosystem that surrounds the likes of Xero and QuickBooks. And if we can play a small part in helping the profession move more digital and more efficiency and serve their clients better, then that's a win in my eyes. So that's kind of where we kind of have the kind of background to it. We were due to launch this event March last year. We ended up having to cancel it 2 weeks out. Which was a bit of a kick in the stomach, but thankfully all has gone well this year, and I think we were just under 1,000 people in total through the doors today. So we're really pleased with the way it's gone.
Brilliant. And so really fascinating that you decided to launch this business and launch this in a sector that's reasonably well established. We've got lots of things going on, like other shows and obviously things like XeroCon as well. So. How do you try and make Digital Accountancy Show a bit different from everything else? Yeah.
So we definitely see ourselves as a technology conference first, rather than kind of all singing exhibition, come down and see as many stands as you can. For us, it's about experience first, content second, and then getting around and seeing as many stands as possible. If you can focus on those things, then I think you're on to a winner. So we were kind of visiting shows in Europe. So we were going to like Web Summit in Portugal, there was an event in Berlin, and we were actually going to these shows, these technology conferences, to borrow ideas. What were they doing in terms of production, content, staging? We want to bring a real kind of new experience into the sector. We want to be really aligned with technology. So this year was a bit difficult because we were kind of reacting to things quite quickly. But in future years, you'll see us kind of use things like AR, VR. We want to use some blockchain technology for some things as well. So. Cool. I don't know if, again, next year might come around too soon, but things like event platforms. So event organisers like us are building really great communities. Like you see today, nearly 1,000 people in this room, more people interested in kind of accounting technology moving digital. But actually that's like 1,000 people in the community. So what we will also do in the future is host our events on event platforms. So if there are people that can't make today, they can speak to exhibitors online, they can see the sessions online, they can network online. So you'll see us become more aligned with technology and using platforms like that. But we've got huge ambitions for this. In our first year, we've got just under 1,000 people through the doors. Yeah, we want to be kind of 20, 30,000 people in a few years. So that's kind of where we want to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say the buzz out there was great. Especially in the app area, the app marketplace. I can't remember the
app village,
So that was great. But I guess, playing devil's advocate, is there anything that, from wandering around today, I know it's brand new, you're not going to be able to digest anything, but is there anything that you might like tweak that you would have thought about maybe doing differently?
Yeah, I think one of the things we always have to consider, so we've run this event across 2 floors, and there is always kind of peaks and troughs on the floors. Like if you look around now, it's probably slightly quieter on the main stage floor area, so we need to find out a way on how we kind of control the flow of traffic so everybody's got a nice flow of people going past the stands, the stages at any one point. To give you a very quick example of something we've learned today is we should have had like an announcer upstairs saying such and such is now speaking on the main stage. People make your way down, and that would be, when you go to conferences, you kind of take that for granted, but we didn't have that today. Whereas if we had, we could have driven more people downstairs. That's just one very small thing. From an event organising perspective, just little things like that you pick up on. But on the whole, I don't think so. I think some of the maybe stand positioning will change. We'll kind of relax for a few days, recover, and then really kind of dissect what worked, and we will pick out what didn't work, and we'll kind of make sure that we try and address that for next year.
I think, speaking just as someone that's on the other side of the table, I think the opportunity and the platform you've provided is amazing, and it's actually the first time I've ever seen someone tackle this in a completely different way and be really innovative about how you've done that, because the amount of content that is available to everyone to learn today, the way that it has been branded, the way that you've gone about like introducing everyone, it feels digital, and it feels like it's for a modern accountant. I'm joined by 2 modern accountants. Blanked one. But I would say that it definitely feels like a completely different experience from what we've had before. And so I think you've done a fantastic job of making sure that actually everyone, whether it's from the accountancy side or from the industry side, it's a different model to what people have experienced in the UK, and I think that's groundbreaking.
Thanks, Indi. Yeah, so I think like the venue has a lot to do with that as well. Like we were searching for a venue for kind of 3 or 4 months, and outside of Tottenham Hotspur's main sponsors, we were the first company to book an event with them. So like for a lot of their team today, this was quite a big milestone for them as well, and getting it all over the line and stuff. So it was the first venue that we walked into, and it kind of blew us away. Like we were in hard hats, high-vis jackets, because the stadium wasn't even open to the public back then when we were coming around and looking at it. We're really pleased, and you can see the digital signage everywhere, and we've really gone to town on the branding. So we're just going to kind of work really hard to make sure that we keep putting on great content, and we really just want to blow people away if we can. Like this is our first event. My personal kind of savings, all of it went into this. So I'm glad we're kind of through that now, and we can build on years 2, 3, 4, and 5 when we've got a bit of money back into the business and we can reinvest it, and hopefully we've built a nice platform for ourselves.
It sounds great. And obviously you mentioned you had to pull the show a couple of weeks before COVID hit. So what's had to change as a result of that? Obviously finding a venue and the other problems. I'm loving the wristbands, by the way. They're a great idea. But what else have you had to sort of do to accommodate the changes required?
The wristbands was one. What else?
Would you explain the wristbands? Because everyone's going to say, what
so just for people that are listening on the podcast as opposed to watching, so we've all got wristbands. So we wanted to play a part in, we're bringing people back together again for the first time. So we wanted to take away that awkwardness between attendees of, do we shake hands, do we fist pump, are you happy to hug, are you happy to... do you want to keep your distance? And that's an awkward situation. So we wanted to try and stop that from happening. And we felt like the best way to do it was, if you're comfortable hugging, shaking hands, you're green wristbands. If you're happy with fist bumps only, then you're yellow. And if you'd rather just kind of not touch anyone, which is fine, and I totally understand, then you're red. And I don't think I saw 1 red wristband today.
Really?
Everyone was in green or yellow, so that's the wristband system.
Actually, I remember meeting someone, they had a green wristband here, and I said, so we can hug, and they said, handshake, Indi, handshake.
Really?
That was John. That was John, though.
Maybe an auditor.
So, come back to the question, John. That was really it. Like, we had to kind of reduce capacities, and we were very conscious of that as well. It felt really busy upstairs, and it felt really busy by the main stage this morning. I think if we'd gone a bit more than that, I don't know, maybe it would have felt a bit too uncomfortable. But everybody was happy to kind of get in amongst it, and I felt like the event was run safely. Obviously we had to do kind of the lateral flow test stuff or double jab proof at the entrance. But that was kind of it, really.
Yeah, and I must say, like as an attendee, I feel very comfortable. I think the setup's great, and it was busy, but I think it's not overwhelmingly busy.
Yeah.
And actually, from an attendee point of view, it's so great to see people around the stands and everyone else wanting to talk and get to know each other. And I've had so many conversations with just people on a screen. And it's
it's weird, isn't it, when you see someone in 3D for the first time? Do you know what else I find amazing? Is when you meet people for the first time and they're either like much smaller or much bigger than what you. And you say that a minute ago. Oh, okay,
yeah. If you don't mind me jumping in, obviously this was delayed a year, or more than a year in the end. And I'd assume you had to pivot like the whole kind of brand, the whole scheme to make sure you could continue.
Yeah.
Can you just jump into that a little bit?
Yeah. So we, by the time that we postponed the show, as hard as it was to take, we had to think, right, how do we bring the audience and the community that we have and our technology companies, clients, partners like AREX Markets, how do we bring them together in a way where, one, we can commercially survive as a business, and not only that, but maybe a little bit more as well. And what different ways can we do that? So we pivoted into virtual events, we pivoted into webinars, we launched a magazine, all digital, all online. They were successful. Last year we made the decision to, when we postponed the show a second time, we decided to launch something called Digital Accountancy Week, which was 5 virtual summits, 5 full-day summits in 1 week, which was really intense. But that went down really well. We had like 1,500 people on it. We had some great speakers. We had people from, we had the, not the CEO, but the CTO of Hewlett-Packard, who looks after the Mercedes Formula One team, speak on the event. We had the managing director from a company called UiPath, who they're a robotics company. Like, we had some really great speakers on there. And but I think we were, you kind of get webinar or zoomed out after a while, don't you? And we did start to see the numbers declining. And that's why the face-to-face event came around at the perfect time. Yeah. And I wouldn't say it was easy, but I think it was easier than normal to get people signed up to the event because people were just dying to get out there.
So one of the things that I missed this morning, because I was too busy chatting to some of the guys downstairs, was your announcement about the digitalaccountancy.com.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yep, sure. So over the last 18 months, because we've done everything digitally, we've kind of reacted to things. So we're doing webinars on one platform, magazine on another platform, virtual events on another platform, and whatever else we're doing. So what we've decided to do is wrap it all up and bring it into one central website. And the kind of mission of it is actually to become a online community learning hub and content hub to really, have an impact on accountancy firms and the people that run them and their junior members of team as well. And we're using a data engine in the back end to really understand what content they're interested in. Mm-hmm. So, Ryan, you're interested in systems transformation for clients or app advisory. We will be able to, after a period of time, surface up the information that's relevant to Ryan Pearcy, rather than scattergun approach, here's a load of stuff, find your way around that. We will be able to surface up the stuff that you're interested in, whether it be webinar, editorial content, training, or whatever it might be. So we're really, really excited by it. And then from a training perspective, we really want to help accountants, for those that want to become kind of more advisory based. I appreciate that not everyone wants to go down that route. We actually want to play a part in, we know why, it's the how that we want to do. So we're partnering up with a couple of businesses who do this already, kind of help accountants with advisory and better meetings and upselling and business development and talking around the numbers. So we want to play a part there as well.
So this sounds really interesting to me. Is it live now? Or when does it hit? When's it hit the?
We were hoping to launch today. So my talk on the main stage, it's live now, go sign up. But things got delayed. Anyone who's built kind of a website or software knows it tends to happen. I think we're aiming for now 1st of October, so we're giving ourselves another 4 weeks to get everything over the line. So anyone interested listening wants to kind of sign up for early access, they can do that. Yep. Then we'll go into beta in a few weeks, iron out all the bugs, and get some more people signed up and stuff, and then we'll probably launch in 4 weeks, I hope.
Super excited. Yeah. So one last thing then, you sort of touched on the fact that you want to be bigger than Xerocon, bigger than everything else that's out there. So what does the future hold for Digital Accountancy Show, and how do you get to that 20,000, 30,000 people through the door?
From a brand perspective, I think we have to continue to build on our brand. Like what I learned by being at Xero was you can create a brand that people really love and really buy into. Everybody I've spoken to today from an attendee perspective said, this is amazing, this is great. We put on a load of content, load of sessions, and that's why we've gone to town on, for the people that are not can't see inside the stadium, we've taken out all the digital signage in the stadium, all of the the big TV screens in the corner, from a branding perspective, and just to show people that we're really serious about this. And actually, we hope that through our brand, you can feel aligned to what we're doing. And I've seen events come and go in the past. Like I went to a couple again before COVID, lots of stands there, but there just wasn't any. There was no real purpose. There was no buzz. The event was dead and hasn't come back. Whereas at the heart and the core of everything that we're doing is actually trying to give accountants the tools, the information, and the community and the connections to really thrive digitally and evolve their service lines for the future. So if we stay true to that, then I think the numbers will increase every year, and we'll look to double the numbers next year. That's our target. And if we can do that 4 or 5 years, then hopefully we'll get there. And I also think it helps that it's a free to attend event. So hopefully we'll get to 20,000 a lot easier than what paying a few hundred quid for a ticket might do. But that's what we're trying to do really.
Yeah, I think definitely from what I've seen, I echo that people get buzz from this. It really seems to have hit the market. Maybe because it's the first event back that people can enjoy it. I don't know, but it definitely, I know, playing devil's advocate here, but to me it feels special.
Yeah, cheers,
but I'm in this. This is what I live for. So this is everything I love. Yeah. And actually, thank you for throwing it all in. As you said, all your savings in and running this event. I think from my perspective, and I hope everyone that listens and watches this from their perspective as well, we thank you for that.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you guys for all the support. John, you've done loads of us and content-wise over the last 18 months. Indy, for your support with AREX, really appreciate all of that. And then Ryan, you obviously sit on our advisory board and tell us what to do and not what to do. So yeah, thanks for your support as well. It's been great.
Well, cheers, Dan. Thank you very much. And let's hope there's much more success in the future for you.
Nice one. Cheers, John. Thanks, Indy. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Come on now, move up. Too close to me. Now, COVID.
Too close. You were snuggling in before.
I know.
So sobering up, that's better. I have to put pillows around my room down at home. It's very strange.
How long have you known John and Ryan? It's
too long.
Don't scratch anything, just don't move.
I'm not scratching anything, I'm just literally moving my phone.
So into our of interest section. Anyone want to start?
Yep, I'm going to start. So for anyone who's a really boring traditional accountant, you'll be really excited to know that Windows 11 has officially been given a release date, which is the 5th of October. It is exciting. It's exciting news because for me, what's really, really fascinating, it's really interesting for the firm that I work for at Beaver & Struthers, is we've built and made Teams like the real fulcrum and focus point for the practice. Windows 11 is going to put Teams front and center within the whole ecosystem in there. So hopefully going to push boring on email back down the chain a little bit. But also equally, for a lot of businesses, it's just the next iteration of keeping up to speed with technology in your business. Lots of challenges, I know. So if you're interested in rolling out Windows 11, you need to check it out. You need to have a look at the website, find out if you've got problems around some of your hardware in particular, and equally, you probably need to speak to some of your vendors if you're still using some desktop server-based software.
Yeah, no, it's, Windows can be a boring topic, but I think actually with what they've done and they've pivoted to, something I picked up is, that it's going to be free and they're going to roll down in stages. So the whole Windows, offering is all about now just upgrading and evolving over time, which I thought was pretty cool. Something that I picked up this week was about, there was a weird news article that basically said that 34% of accountancy firms don't trust the data quality when they outsource information, which I actually took as 66% of firms trust the information that they get once they outsource firms. Surely that's a positive. If you're outsourcing, there's a big risk. 66% of those businesses are trusting that data. That's a big thing. We've had lots of outsourcing firms here, something that we don't really do much of. We do a little bit at Scrum Land, but generally not something we've really delved into. But 66%, I think that's good if you've got full reliance, because anything you push outside your firm is, of risk. So I don't know if either you two have worked with outsourcing, but from our perspective, I thought that as a positive rather than negative.
Yeah, I'm amazed actually. I mean, from personal experience, we found outsourcing certainly in the past can be a bit challenging. It's a bit difficult. Again, with us, we do a little bit of outsourcing, mainly on the audit side, and that's through our international network that we're part of. So, there's a level of trust. I think once you start to sort of take that outsourcing to another entity, we've got Advanced Track here that Vipul's part of. It's all about building trust, making sure the quality is good, and getting what you want back as expected. So I'm amazed that the satisfaction levels are so high, to be perfectly honest.
Can I ask the difference between outsourcing and what I learned recently is offshoring country? So
for me, outsourcing is about handing it over to a third party, from which there'll be some sort of SLA or some sort of relationship in terms of what's required, what's expected. Whereas offshoring is literally taking a part of the existing business and moving it to another territory. So that's how I see it, and that's how we're working with our outsourcing at the moment.
Yeah, I think the modern, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the modern take is also from an offshoring perspective. You can bring in an outsourcer, but they are dedicated to you, which I think you were mentioning there. So there's kind of a joint model. If you've got enough work that you can have someone dedicated from an outsourced business, then that's labelled as offshoring because they work for you. You are employing that person, but based on a contract rate. And so that's how I would define the two. And I think there are certain businesses that work in different models. You can still go to an outsourced firm, but have an offshore facility. So something that if you are interested in, I think you need to explore in some more depth. Definitely something that we didn't get into in too much depth at Scrum Bland, but we've only really done outsourcing to date. But sometimes I think you need to find the right model that fits you.
But I think a lot of firms that have outsourced have probably done it in the past and maybe 10 years or so ago. And the difference now, of course, is technology's changed so much. In terms of, when I did outsourcing at a firm that I used to work for, the biggest challenge was how do we get that information across to that team? And they were based in India at the time. And then how do we get it back? How do we transmit that data safely? How much information needs to be scanned in? How do we manage the quality and the control of that data? And that was a huge problem. Now with cloud systems, if you've got a client on Xero, well, you can conceivably outsource the bookkeeping of that, of that data relatively easily, particularly if you've got a lot of other connected tools there. So the concept of outsourcing and the way that it's delivered and done is totally different from what it was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of businesses, certainly from my personal experience, have experienced outsourcing in the bad old days of technology and not really revisited it in the new world. And just talking of new business models, if you talk to someone like AREX Champagne, who runs Soaring Falcon, she's now running an accounting practice which has got no fixed abode. She's got a team who are out in Cambodia, I think it is, but she manages to travel the world and run a successful accountancy practice that really fits in with what she wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think outsourcing from my personal perspective starts raising some interesting topics as well, because from talking to lots of accountants today, they're struggling to hire. We've as a country been outsourcing for a while, and that's probably impacted the development of our junior staff that then become the more experienced staff, which is a problem higher at the moment. So I think that's definitely a topic I'm not going to go into in too much depth today. Probably an entire show on that. So before we dive into that, Indi, have you got anything for us this week?
So yes, HMRC recovered 7.5 billion in debt, which I thought was a really interesting time to collect on debt. During this time, I would have said it was the most difficult time. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, because I saw that and thought it was a great stat. Yeah,
it's controversial, isn't it? Because we're in a period where businesses are struggling, and big news article, HMRC have taken more money from businesses. Woo! But I think we actually have to put this into context. HMRC deferred a lot of payments, so part of this 7.5 billion is probably just them recovering on that deferred debt. So although big headline, and it's hard to tell how much of that is actually HMRC ramping up the service and how much of that is just the government decisions to delay. From my memory of reading the article, I don't think they really delved into that in too much.
No.
But yeah, it's it's an interesting one. Anyway,
and
anything from
they
you guys?
covered. I mean, the debt recovery. They covered that update was given for April to June of this year.
Okay.
So I think you're right. I think it's quite clearly quite a lot of the stuff that was deferred, the VAT, pay as you earn payments and stuff. And I know personally from dealing with clients, VAT was probably the one that most people deferred the most of. Pay as you earn was a little bit more tricky, particularly if you were dealing with furlough. And I think in the article, it still said that HMRC were owed a further 50 billion pounds of arrears.
Wow.
So 7.5 billion sounds great. 50 billion, that's quite a lot to still recover, and clearly we want to get that in the government's coffers, really.
It's true. I think we need it as a country, don't we? Anyway, before we dive into government debt, anything else from anyone else?
So I've just got one last thing. For anyone that doesn't know, Xero produce a series of business insights which they release on a fairly regular basis. I think it's quarterly, if I remember rightly. And they basically pull this data from all of their client data. It's anonymized, if you can do that with your teeth in. And they've published some recent numbers which show that Australia and New Zealand as territories are outperforming the UK in terms of business recovery coming out of COVID. What's really, really interesting, though, is to see that the effect of the recent lockdowns that have happened in Australia has seen a big dip and a big fall in Australia's growth and the recovery, such that it's almost back to zero. But in the UK in particular, what we're seeing is we're still below zero, so we've not actually recovered back to where we are. So that's that's indicative of a wider potential trend within Xero, within the UK market. And clearly we've got to take that in the context of how many businesses are using Xero compared to the other products that are out there.
Yeah, I think that probably echoes what we've seen actually just from global press, in the fact that the UK, probably in our prudent nature, are being cautious when we come back to operating normally. The Digital Accountancy Show is a brilliant example of that. We are come back, we are enjoying this, but we make sure that things are in place that make us all feel secure. So I think that's probably a good way to wrap up. So that brings us to the close of the Digital Accountancy Show, Digitals in a Cruel World podcast/vidcast. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've gained a lot of insights. We have enjoyed this. We've loved doing this. Firstly, I need to probably apologise. It's live. We've got people in and out. If you had any, you can hear people in the background, or us stopping people coming through. Just part of being on a live set. But if you want to reach out to us, please follow us on the socials, Digitals in a Cruel World. If you want to reach out to me, follow me on LinkedIn, Ryan Pearcy, or follow me on Twitter, Ryan M. Pearcy. John, if anyone wants to reach out to you.
You can find me on LinkedIn, as I've always said, crazy name, easy to find, or find me at John_Toon on Twitter.
At Indivir on Twitter and Indi Tatla on LinkedIn, and I'm always open.
That's an interesting end comment. Also, as we discussed and as we covered, and as Dan alluded to, digitalaccountancy.com has launched. Please, if you're interested in this, and I think it's a great venture, sign up for early access. And once again, thank you for listening. If you have any comments and you're listening, please leave us a review. It'd be great to hear your feedback. Please subscribe, follow us. We basically want to spread this to as many people as possible. Great to have you listening today, and hopefully we get you on future podcasts. Thank you very much. Bye.
Unicorn, one bill valuation. Missed that bit.
No, I thought it was good.
You did really good.